Are they getting... Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. What is it here? Welcome to Chickies and Pete's. I'm Dan Baker. This is the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session on WBCB 1490 AM. And what is it on the FM 107.3? Okay. Thanks, courtesy of producer Chris Ermer. As you know, normally we broadcast live every Monday during the baseball season from 6 to 7 over WBCB. And you can also hear it on the internet, of course, www.wbcb1490.com. And it's called the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session in honor of my longtime broadcast partner, Greg Luzinski. This year, Greg's had a change of schedule. So when the Phillies are away, he goes back to his home in Florida. And we're fortunate enough to have three very capable guys that are rotating as co-hosts in Greg's place. And they include Mickey Morandini, they include Tommy Green, and for the first time today, our co-host, and let me give you a little bit of a background, he is one of the most memorable personalities in Phillies history, known simply as Sarge. Gary was drafted by the Giants out of San Fernando High School in June of 1968, the 17th player selected overall. And you may know that his son, Gary Jr., played in the majors with 7 different teams. How about that? Now, this former outfielder played 16 seasons in the majors, including 3 with the Phillies, 1981, 1982, and 1983. He was the most valuable player of the 1983 National League Championship Series when the Phillies defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers to advance to the World Series against the Baltimore Orioles. He also played for the San Francisco Giants, 72 to 76, the Atlanta Braves, 77 to 80, the Chicago Cubs. What a resume here, 1984 to 1987, before finishing his playing career with the Seattle Mariners. For his career, Gary hit .281 with 234 home runs and 978 RBI and 183 stolen bases in 2,033 games. He won the National League Rookie of the Year in 1973 and was a member of the 1979 National League All-Star team. He appeared in the Division Series with the Phillies in 1981, the NLCS, and the World Series in 1983, and then the NLCS with the Cubs in 1984. Quite a background. And did we say that he was the NLCS MVP with the Phillies in 1983? Ladies and gentlemen, number 34, Phillies left fielder Gary Matthews.
Thank you, Dan. Wow.
Thank you.
That's quite an intro right there.
Well,
holy cow.
You had quite a career. And I'm going to give you a chance to talk in just a second. But we have another distinct.
Did he read that just how you wrote it?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I'm telling you.
Hey,
holy cow.
Ladies and gentlemen, not only were these two guys great Phillies players, they're great Phillies broadcasters. They're among the most beloved of all time. And we have them both today on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Now listen to our special guest today. He is in his 26th season serving as color analyst for Phillies games, which makes him the club's longest tenured active broadcaster.
Wow.
He began his broadcast career. Yeah, there's more to come, you see. And he began his broadcast career with the Phillies in 1998. He had been offered a position on the Houston Astros broadcast team in 1997 when Larry Dierker, who, by the way, has the same birthday as me, September 22nd, 1946, when Larry Dierker moved from the booth to become Astros manager, but L.A. opted instead to become pitching coach for the Phillies' AAA affiliate at Scranton Wilkesboro. We've got
Really?
Now listen, he's a former relief pitcher who played 25 years of professional baseball, including 17 seasons in the major leagues. With the Cleveland, they were then the Indians, 1975 to 79, Seattle 81 and 82, Houston 86 to 90, Boston Red Sox 1990, San Diego Padres 1991-1992, 2 stints with the Phillies, 83 to 86, 93 and 94. Larry was 40 and 39 with 49 saves and a 3.15 earned run out. This is for his career. Some guys are lucky to have that for one season. He had it for his career. In 1987, he pitched over 100 innings, all in relief, and in 1989-90, he posted ERAs below 2.
What?
1.54 in 1989 and 1.79 in 1990. And how about this? He pitched in 2 World Series with the Phillies in 1983 and 1993. He also appeared in the ALCS twice, with Houston in 1986 and with Boston in 1990. Larry holds the club record for longest consecutive scoreless streak by a relief pitcher, 32 2/3 innings in 1984. It is also the 3rd longest among all Phillies pitchers, trailing only Cooperstown Hall of Famer Grover Cleveland Alexander, 41 scoreless innings in 1911, and Cliff Lee's 34-inning streak in 2011. And of course, you know what a beloved broadcaster he has been. Ladies and gentlemen, Phillies pitcher, number 47, Larry Andersen. So,
Wow.
boy, what 2
Yeah.
distinguished stars headline this show. L.A., welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, boy, it's great to have you. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear my co-host. You haven't had a chance to say anything yet. You go right ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to ask Larry about Grover Alexander. What did he drink in the clubhouse there? Having the Saturday to be named in that class, that's unbelievable.
I heard what Dan read about you signing in, 68? That was I wasn't even born then.
Easy. Easy. I think I miss those kind of days at the broadcast or at the ballpark.
Well, of course, you guys were teammates on the 83 National League pennant winners. And my wife, Kathy, is here. L.A.'s wife, Christy, is here. So we have some good-looking women. Well, we have a lot of other good-looking women, too. Ellen Foreman and all. Mike Flaherty, what's your wife's first name? She's here. So thank you all for being here. We were in Baltimore's old Memorial Stadium. I saw a lot of Baltimore Colts football there as well as Orioles baseball. And Gary Maddox hit a home run to win that first game.
Yeah.
And,
he had the game-winning hit.
And I thought we were on our way. And then I think Mike Boddicker may have beaten us in the second game. And then we came here before, 65,000 people or 60,000 3 days in a row. And, So tell us, Sarge, how about if you and LA tell us about that great season when you were teammates, won the National League pennant, you won the NLCS MVP, and you took to the Phillies at a World Series.
Yeah, that was a real long time ago. I mean, for me, being able to beat L.A., where Tom Lasorda, during the course of my minor league career, literally just beat us up all the time. So this was a little payback. And then the Dodgers actually had kept the Phillies from going to the World Series, not once, but I think actually twice. And remember,
77 and 78.
yeah, did you remember that? And then Davey Lopes used to always come in and says, hey, get over it that we won that fair and square there. But that was some good ball playing back there. But
And that year, the 83, the Dodgers beat us 11 out of 12 games in the regular season.
Unbelievable.
So that was nice payback.
Yeah.
Oh, especially, too, against Tommy. But, again, against Baltimore, that we showed up the first game, but they really just knocked us around, I think. We didn't get a lot of hits. Pitching-wise, I think Dempsey was the MVP,
yeah.
And you had some great Hall of Famers on that team. Cal Ripken, for one, on that team.
Yeah.
And I
Jim
think one guy,
Palmer,
Palmer
yeah.
made a big difference coming out of the
Oh, he
bullpen.
did.
In that,
He
in
really
that.
did.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else that's funny. Talk about a small world. So we're in Toronto when Joe Carter hits the walk-off. Later, our daughter Courtney, who at one time was the news director on WBCB radio, and at that time was a TV anchor reporter in the Quad Cities. You know who one of her co-workers, or excuse me, one of the anchors at another station? Joe Carter's daughter.
Oh, no.
In the Quad City. This is like Rock Island, Illinois,
Yeah.
Davenport, Iowa. What are the other ones?
Molina?
Moline, I think Moline, Illinois, and Bettendorf, Iowa, I think is the fourth of the Quad Cities. They had an NBA basketball team way back. But when Joe Carter hits that ball, we just put our heads down and walk. We saw, the people jumping up. We knew that.
Did you know it was out?
By the way that Joe moved, and by the way the people stood up, seeing that ball go into we didn't see it come down. We saw it go up, and everybody stood, and we turned and walked up.
That's why the one thing you got to be careful about is watching the hitter and knowing that the ball's going out, because in last night's game with Atlanta and Arizona,
Yeah.
Ozuna hit a ball off the right center field wall, stood at home plate and watched it, and made it all the way to first base.
Yeah.
In a tie game.
Yeah.
That's
And then that was his last at bat that game yesterday.
well. That's
He
when
got pitched.
your teammates really need to be all over
Yeah.
you for that.
I should
policing that.
say, and I'm kind of maybe mistelling this story. We did watch it go into
Yeah.
the stands.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't want to think it was going in there, but when it did, that's when we turned and made our exit and walked the 7 or 8 blocks. We weren't going to wait for the bus. We're ready to go back.
Bolted.
And, in fact, one of the people that we had a post-game sandwich with was Alvin Williams. Mr. Williams at that time was director of Major League Security. His son, Alvin, I believe now broadcasts for Toronto. He was a big basketball star at Villanova University. So you Philadelphia sports fans see all these connections.
All over.
And he was a great man. And, L.A., take us through some of the noteworthy achievements by you and your teammates in '83, both in the regular season and in the postseason. Could you?
Well, one of the things I remember was coming from Seattle. They bought my contract in the middle of the season in July from Seattle. They needed some bullpen help, so they bought my contract. Now I was playing for Seattle where we had, some of the household names like Paul Cerna playing short, Dave Edler at third.
Who?
Exactly.
Dan Farova catching, Bruce Bachty at first. Now, one name you might remember is Julio Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
He was playing second
yeah.
base. So I leave that team that nobody had ever heard of, where we averaged about probably 3,000 people a game. And I come to Philadelphia. I hadn't been in the National League ever. I'd been in the American League. And I walked in the clubhouse to, I guess, what would be 7 future Hall of Famers. And on top of that, Sarge, who didn't make it to Hall of Fame for some reason, Gary Maddox, Tug McGraw. I mean, the list goes on and on, the guys I got to play with. When I walked in that clubhouse, I thought I was in the wrong place. I'm like, you guys, seriously? Am I supposed to be here? That's how I felt when I came to the clubhouse in Philadelphia. It was like superstar after superstar after superstar. Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, Steve Carlton, Mike Schmidt, Tony Perez. It just like, wow. I wondered what I was doing.
Can I bring up
here.
something and
Yeah.
have you guys react to it? The Atlanta Braves were a powerhouse, as we know, pitching, hitting, and of course they had the better. Well, I don't know if they had the better record, but because you guys were in first place from beginning to end. That was it. That that was 93.
93.
Okay, but I'm mixing up the Dodgers in 93.
83, 93.
With that. But you're right. They called them the Wheeze Kids.
In 83.
And, it was the Whiz Kids in 1950 that won the pennant. The Wheeze Kids and, of course, parts of the Big Red Machine.
Yeah.
Not only Pete Rose, but Joe Morgan and Tony Perez on that team. And wasn't Al Holland?
Yeah, Al Holland was a closer.
Big closer from the San Francisco Giants. I think we traded maybe Mike Krukow to get, does that sound right, to the Giants for Al Holland? Mike had one good year with us or something like that, maybe 82, I think. But
well, we needed Al Holland on that team there for sure. I don't remember who was traded.
I don't either.
Kukoc, but I remember Kukoc also though was with the Giants, so that may have definitely been true.
See, we'll make you think on this show. We're going to reach back in the Phillies history. We're going to talk about current events. Of course, the Phillies host Detroit tonight at 6:40. That's why we're taping our show this afternoon. We thank you for joining us. We thank Chickies and Pete's for hosting us. What a great place to host a radio show. We're at the flagship at 15th and Packer, down here in the South Philadelphia Sports District. And tonight we'll be at Citizens Bank Park. And right now we're going to go back to the studio for these words from our sponsor.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
SEPTA offers a variety of career opportunities. Our core business is transit, and with 5 modes of service, we rely on and need operators, engineers, and conductors. But it takes a host of other specialties, including mechanics, electricians, plumbers, masons, painters, carpenters, welders, and more to keep the system moving. As an employee, you will earn competitive compensation and great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription, and a pension. Visit jobs.septa.org to apply today. That's jobs.septa.org.
During the Toyota Ready, Set, Go sales event, just imagine yourself in a new Toyota. Whatever you need, from an electric vehicle to a rugged, versatile truck, we have new Toyotas on the ground for immediate delivery. Or choose from over 100 certified used options, which undergo a rigorous inspection and include an amazing warranty. Plus service centers that can save you time and money and keep you on the road. So let's go to Team Toyota this spring. Just visit teamtoyota.net to find a location near you.
When they sent me to the Cubs.
Welcome back to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm Dan Baker with Gary Matthews and L.A. Larry Andersen. Now, see here in our postseason history, the 83 and the 93, I kind of put them together there. I was really making for an interesting walk through history, wasn't it? I was thinking of the
Dodgers were both. You mentioned the Dodgers. They were against us in both 83 and 93.
Okay,
in the postseason.
But what I was thinking of was when you played Atlanta, and after, I believe it was after Lenny Dykstra hits the home run.
Oh, yeah.
It was at the top of the 10th or top of the 9th. And you
10th.
came in the bottom of the inning and got the save. That was a huge save. Can you tell us about that?
That was kind of going on fumes at that time. I think our whole bullpen was. For the most part, but
this is 93 now.
93, yeah. Dykstra hit a home run. We tied it up. Dykstra hit a home run in the top of the 10th. Actually, we were ahead, and then Mitch came in, and after an error and kind of a botched bunt play, they ended up tying the game up. And then we went to the 10th, and that's when Dude hit the home run, and so I was the next in line to come in and.
For the save.
So we're 4-3, and I came in, and I got Otis Nixon. I got behind him, the leadoff hitter, who I didn't want to walk. I was like, just let him hit the ball. So I just kind of threw a slider up there. I got behind him 3-1. I said, I can't walk this guy. So I just threw a slider up there, and he put his best shot on it and went right to the wall and right. Fortunately, it was him and not somebody else. So I got him, and then Blauser came up, Jeff Blauser, and I struck him out on 3 sliders about letter high. I was like, I was trying everything I could, but I was not making good pitches. And then Ron Gant came up, who can hit the ball as far as anybody.
Yeah.
I came up, I hung him a couple sliders, swung through one, fouled one back, and that's when Dalton was like, basically, I could hear him thinking to himself, we can't throw another one of those sliders because he's gonna tie this game up. So he called for a split or a changeup that I threw, and I never threw it in a game unless it was like a way out of control game, and I just messed around with it just to try it. But he called for it in a playoff game. I was like, man, if he hits this out, I will get crucified. But if I throw another slider, he will hit it out. So my mouth, after I got my mouth picked up from the ground from my jaw dropping when he called for that split, I threw it. Actually, it was the only time I ever threw it where I saw it move like a fair amount. Started off the plate, came back to the outside corner. Ron Gant took it, and Jerry Crawford was the umpire. Strike 3 for the final out, and nobody could believe I threw it, including myself.
Wow.
Was that the biggest save of your career?
Oh, by far, yes.
You have that ball? Did you save it?
I don't know.
No, you didn't. That's like
Probably
when
not.
you get your first hit or whatever.
Yeah.
I still have that
Let me
particular.
put this a little closer to you.
I still have that particular ball there. So that would have been a memorable situation for L.A. So I'm just wondering why You didn't keep that
I
one
didn't
there.
realize
I
at
mean,
that time that I would forget so much at this age. So I felt I didn't need to keep it.
We're doing a good geriatric thing today, aren't we? I mean, I'm conflating 83 and 9 because I wanted to get to that story of
Right.
you because that to me was like one of the biggest saves in Phillies history.
Wow.
And you, young man, I wanted to ask you when you were named the MVP of the NLCS in '83, and you crushed the Dodgers. Was it Jerry Royce you hit that off of?
Jerry Royce, the left-hander. I don't know. We were all getting pretty much hot towards the end of the season, and again, with the Dodgers. Looking back at my career against them, I'm lifetime 300 against the Dodgers. So it was kind of like the Hatfield and the McCoys.
Well,
I've always kind of hated them. And, again, to put a whipping on them. But, when you get hot at certain times, you can carry a ball club. Like when you see Schwarber doing the same thing, although I didn't go that many days sometimes without touching the ball. But, it's a different ball game these days.
When you look back, you both have so many wonderful memories. Was that the highlight of your career, that '83 NLCS? Or, I mean, you helped lead the Cubs into the postseason in '84.
Yeah, that was really bittersweet. I don't know. Yeah, that probably was because it was against the Dodgers, and then L.A., if you can remember, it was so loud on that particular day, and just with the guys that we had on the team and that year, people don't realize what a great year John Denny had, who won the Cy Young that year. We're having a Steve Carlton on your team. That tells you what a great pitcher he was, but. It just worked out great getting in, not too great after facing Baltimore.
Well, L.A. and Sarge, one of the things that had my heart was in my throat. Steve Carlton has the lead. We're back in Philadelphia after splitting in Baltimore, which is what we wanted to do. This is the '83 World Series. And there's a couple of runners on, and I think there was one out. Dead double play ball hit towards short. Now, of course, it had been raining. That field was wet. Ivan De Jesus was now at short. Larry Boa had been traded to the Cubs. That ball skipped past him. And, now Ivan, having come from the Cubs, used to playing on natural field. Maybe he wasn't quite as accustomed to hard hit balls on turf. I don't know, but he was otherwise a very good shortstop and had a couple of good years for the Phils. But that takes now I think Baltimore ties the score and eventually go ahead. I think maybe the next guy got a hit.
Got a hit on home run, but no excuses though, really, Dan, on that. I mean, play should be made. It should be made. It doesn't matter for me if you played on grass.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was wet or. Whether or not you put your glove up and you end up losing the ball. I mean, how many times even this year have you seen fielders put their glove up, hits the middle of the glove, and bounces on the ground? Yeah. I mean, it's that's why no excuses. Anticipate the ball coming to you until it isn't, and know what to do with it when you get it.
Right.
The final score in that game, and this is Game 3, of the '83 World Series, October 14th, 1983. Baltimore out hit by the Phillies 8-6. 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. The Phillies 2 hits, 8 hits, and 2 errors. And a team that was pretty good. Larry, when we were concluding the first segment, you were talking about the great year that Joe Morgan, the great September that Joe Morgan had in '83. Can you embellish that?
It was just, obviously Joe Morgan was a little longer in the tooth. He was up there in age. He was probably getting close to Sarge's age at that point. And I think he knew he was kind of winding down. I think,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It was kind of like last year's World Series team where the Phillies, where they kind of up and down throughout the year, kind of inconsistent, and then they beat Houston and they get into the playoffs, and then they get in the playoffs and just it's like this team was just on fire. Well, that's kind of how this team was, I think, for the time I was there, was kind of up and down, keeping it close, and then Joe Morgan really just between he and Sarge took care of the rest of it for September. But Joe's September was incredible. It was like he was in his prime.
Yeah.
And just a lot of guys. Samuel had come up, Len Matusik, kind of filling in, platooning, and everybody played a part in it. It was big.
I think the biggest series, too, was against New York. I think we had 5 games in 3 days and swept them.
Yeah.
Back then, and that would have been in September. So,
like both of you, Joe Morgan parlayed an outstanding playing career into a wonderful broadcast career.
Yeah.
And, of course, a member of Cooperstown's Hall of Fame, number 8, second baseman Joe Morgan. That concludes the first half of today's Independence Blue Cross Bull Session with Gary Matthews, Larry Andersen, and me, Dan Baker. We'll be back with the second half of the show after these messages.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
SEPTA offers a variety of career opportunities. Our core business is transit, and with 5 modes of service, we rely on and need operators, engineers, and conductors. But it takes a host of other specialties, including mechanics, electricians, plumbers, masons, painters, carpenters, welders, and more to keep the system moving. As an employee, you will earn competitive compensation and great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription, and a pension. Visit jobs.septa.org to apply today. That's jobs.septa.org.
During the Toyota Ready, Set, Go sales event, just imagine yourself in a new Toyota. Whatever you need, from an electric vehicle to a rugged, versatile truck, we have new Toyotas on the ground for immediate delivery. Or choose from over 100 certified used options, which undergo a rigorous inspection and include an amazing warranty. Plus service centers that can save you time and money and keep you on the road. So let's go to Team Toyota this spring. Just visit teamtoyota.net to find a location near you.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to get you next time. Welcome back, everybody, to the Independence Blue Cross. My goodness. Now, you know it's a big show when the assistant general manager, Matt Miro, is here. Matt's right over there. And, God, he looks like he brought some muscle with him with Bill there, you know. I don't know what you were expecting to encounter today, Matt, but it's great to have you both. And Larry Andersen, the manager here, Lou, has a bunch of loving texts to show you. That's Lou right there, and he's showing Christy now, I think. And L.A., our eminent producer Chris Ermer has an interesting question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry, thank you for being with us today. Appreciate it. On a recent episode of WBCB's Baseball Insider Show, John Brazier was down at the ballpark and was joined by Dave Doster, who was there for the game and was a member of the 95 Reading Phillies team, which you were also on. And it was a team that won the league, won Double-A baseball that year. So I wondered about your recollections about that team. I saw Scott Rowland was also on the roster of that squad, and they were wondering how many saves Larry Andersen picked up in 95 for that Reading Phillies team.
I don't know if I had any. I don't remember getting a save, but the one game I do specifically remember is we were playing the Yankees Double-A team, Norwich, and we were up down 5-0. And then in the fifth inning, I was actually in the game at the time because I was a player coach. So I was still pitching, but I was also the coach. They didn't have a pitching coach that year. So we were down 5-0. We came back, tied it up. Gary Bennett hits a home run to put us at, Adon Milan hit a home run, and then Gary Bennett came up, and they drilled him after we tied the game up. They hit him, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm in the game. I'm 42 years old.
Wow.
And I'm playing with these guys that are 20, 21, 22, and and I know because they drilled our hitter, and I knew it was intentional. I'm like, I know I have to drill one of their guys, and I'm like, I don't want to do this at this point in my career. I mean, I'm done. But their DH came up, so I told Gary Bennett was our catcher. I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to hit the first guy, so just sit outside. I don't care what you call. I'm throwing at him. So I throw at him. I hit him in the back. He throws his bat down. He starts going to first. And all of a sudden, I hear our dugout just laughing. I'm like, what the heck's going on around here? I just drilled the guy. My own teammates are laughing about something going on. So I get out of the inning, and I come back in. I go, you guys want to tell me what the heck was so funny when I drilled that guy? And they said, you didn't hear him? And I'm totally deaf in my right ear, so I'm a little limited. So I'm like, no, I didn't hear him. What'd he say? Now I'm starting to get incensed. And he said, he threw his bat down, he walked to first, and he hollered out at you. He said, you're too old for me to F with. I was like, what?
Too old?
Oh,
my God.
He said, and I actually had to start laughing because I was like, well, that's a pretty good line.
He said, why bother go out there with this old man?
Sarge,
oh, gosh, that's effective.
Greg Luzinski has told us about a couple of confrontations, one notably being with Bill Greif in San Diego, who threw at the Bull, and Bull gave him a pretty good shot. I think he had Dick Allen hold the catcher, and he went out. But do you recall any incidents where you were thrown at or where you were provoked and went after somebody on the other team?
I never charged the mound, although I've had several fights protecting my teammates. The one where Bill Madlock tried to cold cock Jim Barr, who was on the mound, and came in and asked a few questions from left field. You're not proud of them, especially when your oldest son thinks it's funny to show that, and my daughter looks at it, and granddaughter, and they go like, Dad, is that you? I said, Paige, wasn't my proudest moment on the baseball.
They had that video running at Downey's down on Front and South Street. Tommy Brennan had it set up on a TV, and it was just what do you call it? Rewinding. I mean, over and over and over, replaying constantly. But then somebody came and stole the machine that it was in. So we never. That was all we got to see. It was that, but it ran a number of times there at Downey's.
Hey, talking about proud, you have a grandchild that's in The Lion King on Broadway? What is this?
He's actually the youngest one. Davis Matthews will make his debut on Tuesday as Simba. I've seen him in other plays like The Addams Family, but this was locally. But to be on Broadway and to see his name up in lights.
Wow.
He actually signed a 6-month contract. So he's pretty excited about it, and I'm real excited about it. I can't wait to go there and see him perform.
Did you buy tickets yet?
Actually, no. I'm going to wait until the end.
You want to get the comp tickets?
No.
Why don't you support your grandson?
I'm gonna get my own tickets, but I was thinking about inviting you and Christy up there, and you were gonna get the comp tickets.
Oh, okay. Well,
I guess you don't want those.
Wait.
Hey, these guys are two of the most beloved Phillies
Gosh, that's
and
funny.
broadcasters. L.A., let's talk about do we have time now, Chris? Okay. I wanted to talk about both of your broadcast careers. You both had tremendous playing careers. L.A., 26 seasons. I thought we were talking on the phone yesterday. I thought there was a time when, Harry Kalas and Richie Ashburn were so good, and the play-by-play mechanics, the sense of humor, the baseball knowledge. Geez, I don't know if anybody's ever going to approach these two. I'll tell you and Scott Fransky, and we're going to get to Gary Matthews because you were pretty darn good yourself on the TV. But how about a couple of broadcast highlights? And I know you've won big-time awards, you and Scott both, and you just do a great job. And these fans love you both, and I think they love your honesty, your sense of humor. When it's bad, you're going to call it as you see it. And so tell us about a couple of broadcast highlights.
There's so many of them. The whole 08 playoff run, 09, and that 5-year stretch of winning the division, 5 straight years, was it's tough to pick out one specific, whether it's a Stairs home run or Rollins or Victorino or it just so many things. Just that team, I love that team. They were a bunch of great players, and so it's tough, And then you look at last year, you look at Harper's home run in the NLCS to basically take us to the World Series. Highlights there, but just to me, it's such an honor and so humbling to be mentioned just with Harry Kalas and Richie Ashburn. Just knowing them and knowing what they meant to this city, and to be mentioned in the same name with them at the same time is an honor. It really is. Well, and I think but the honesty, as we talked about yesterday, the fans want honesty in this city. In L.A. or San Diego, take a beach ball to the game, whatever, and say what you want, and it's just different. But out here in Philadelphia and the East Coast, if you're not honest with the fans, you're going to lose them. And I know there's times that our front office doesn't like some of the things I say, and that my big thing that I try and reiterate to them is that it's I'm not broadcasting to the front office. I'm broadcasting to the fans. And I said, let's not get honesty mixed up with negativity, because they think it's negative when I bring up things that the Phillies are doing bad. The fans want to hear that. The fans want the honesty. And so my allegiance is to the fans. I know the Phillies are my employer, but my allegiance is to the fans. And I want this team to win. I said to Burl, Utley, and those guys, I said, I don't care if you guys win the World Series or not. I really don't. But I want you to for the fans. Because this city has spent enough time with losses. They've done enough with the agony of defeat. They've had that experience. They need a little more of the thrill of victory, and that's what I always want. I want these teams to win for the fans. It really is. It's the greatest fans that I've ever played in front of. It really are. And so that's what I want to be honest, and I want to be show my allegiance to them.
Sarge, I want to get your broadcast philosophy and some special moments in your Phillies broadcast career. I think you were on for 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. But we have to take a commercial break. When we come back, we only have one segment left with these two beloved Phillies players and broadcasters, Gary Sarge Matthews and Larry Andersen, L.A. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
SEPTA offers a variety of career opportunities. Our core business is transit, and with 5 modes of service, we rely on and need operators, engineers, and conductors. But it takes a host of other specialties, including mechanics, electricians, plumbers, masons, painters, carpenters, welders, and more to keep the system moving. As an employee, you will earn competitive compensation and great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription, and a pension. Visit jobs.septa.org to apply today. That's jobs.septa.org.
During the Toyota Ready, Set, Go sales event, just imagine yourself in a new Toyota. Whatever you need, from an electric vehicle to a rugged, versatile truck, we have new Toyotas on the ground for immediate delivery. Or choose from over 100 certified used options, which undergo a rigorous inspection and include an amazing warranty. Plus service centers that can save you time and money and keep you on the road. So let's go to Team Toyota this spring. Just visit teamtoyota.net to find a location near you.
Okay, we're back for the final segment of today's Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. I'm Dan Baker. And by the way, a big thank you to Bill Werndell, who pinch hit for me last week after I had some minor surgery on the Friday leading into Memorial Day weekend. And that last Monday, May 29th, of course, Memorial Day. And it was good to see another of your old teammate, Milt Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Was on last week with Mickey Morandini and Bill Werndell. So Bill, Mickey, Milt, thank you guys for the great job last week. And, of course, Chris Ermer was producing then, as he always does. And speaking of health, Larry Andersen continues to do a great job through broadcasting, but what many of you may not be aware of is that LA has had some health challenges. Now, he has just as much passion, just as much knowledge, just as much dedication as ever. But LA, I mean, you've had to battle a couple medical challenges yourself.
Yeah, I got back from spring training and spending 3 months down in Florida, which we usually do, Christy and I. And I got back, did some blood work, and found out there was a recurrence of the prostate cancer. I had my prostate removed in 2019, but for some reason, somehow, some way, it came back. And so I'm in the process. I've started hormone treatment. I'll start radiation treatment June 20th. And I'll get one more hormone shot in September, and that'll be it, and hopefully take care of everything. But I'm very encouraged. I got a great team at Jefferson with Dr. Greenberg doing the radiation, and his team, and everybody I've dealt with at Jefferson have just been tremendous. And so I'm very encouraged with the outcome of the prognosis.
Wonderful. Hey, having a nice round of applause for Larry Andersen, ladies and gentlemen. We're lucky to have you, and Sarge, we're lucky to have you as well. Tell us about your health, and tell us about some of your favorite broadcasts?
Well, health-wise, I'm fine, other than maybe should work out on my legs a little bit more. But other than that, I'm, no problems at all. Broadcasting-wise, for me, I think being around Harry was an experience almost daily, from spring training to the games that we would do. And certainly a guy that was very, very dedicated, doing his homework. And unfortunately, when he died there in Washington, had the pencil in his hand doing his work. But I did an interview once in Texas with Nolan Ryan, and Harry told me that it was one of the best ones he's ever heard. But when he said it, he was writing, and he said it and never even looked up at all. He just kept doing his work and so on, and he was just, so professional. And I like being out with him, from, dining, hearing his stories, drinking, whatever it might be. It was just quite an experience being around him. I learned quite a bit, like I did a lot of the broadcasters. But I think, too, most of all, I miss the kids growing up, Fransky's kids, and growing up and being around them earlier, and certainly Tom McCarthy's kids, and some of the things that Tom does, from hiding in the closet, scaring everybody, and so on. I really do miss hearing those type of episodes.
Oh, well, thank you both for acknowledging your partners, too, because, again, when we were talking about Harry Callis and Richie Ashburn, big shoes to fill. And Larry, you have now, and Sarge, in 7 years, the fans really gravitated to you both. Again, for all the qualities that we talked about in the first segment of today's Independence Blue Cross Bull Session: honesty, loyalty, straightforwardness. And Chris Ermer has, to be fair, Chris Ermer had a question for Larry Andersen. Right. Now he has one for Gary Matthews.
Oh, really?
Well, kind of for both of you guys.
Okay.
Talking about two beloved Phillies, I'm wondering what you think about Scott Rowland being put onto the Phillies Wall of Fame, the fan reactions to that recognition. I think his numbers indicate that he's worthy, but he was a guy that the fans really never took to, and I'm wondering if that should be a consideration for Wall of Fame status.
Well, I'm not on there, and personally, I think Scott should have been on there years ago on just his stats alone. Yeah, there are things that happen. Doesn't take away from, the player that he was, and particularly defensively, and being compared also to Mike Schmidt. I mean, I'm just kind of wondering really who's voting and what took so long.
L.A.?
Having coached Scott Rowland in '95, seeing his work ethic, seeing him take pride in his defense and his base running. That was after he got elected in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if it was Verducci or somebody was doing an interview with him, and he talked about the base running. He said, the base running to me tells me about the integrity of the player.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is something. Because when you see guys, just like we're talking about, and I'm not trying to dog Marcell Ozuna, but hits a ball, stands at home plate, and gets a single out of it because he thought it was going out, and it didn't. And then you look at Chase Utley, who busted his tail on. If he could hit a one-hop bullet back to the pitcher, he would still run through the bag at first. Those are the things that I look at and say these guys are worthy. I think the Phillies really leaned on Scott Rowland in his career, his rookie year. They really leaned on him and made him the franchise, but they, I think, took so much away from him because he had to do this. He was the only player we really had for people to get excited about, and I think they wore him out. And the fans didn't take to him for that. I think partly because of that. And I think he had some legitimate reasons for saying or acting the way he did when he was here towards the end. And I think it hurt him with the fan base here. But I think if fans knew him and knew the quality person that he was, I think they would have a different vision of him being on the Wall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, L.A. Thank you, Sarge. How much time do we have left, Chris? Well, we got 5 minutes left in today's show. I've got another question I want to ask you about Junior. But I want to remind our live audience here at Chickies and Pete's, and those of you who are watching at home or will be listening at home tonight, next week, we are, June 12th, we'll be at Chickies and Pete's in Malvern. That's on Liberty Boulevard. And we're dedicating the show to Dick Allen, who is in the Phillies Hall of Fame, but isn't yet in Cooperstown's Hall of Fame. As the last two times the Veterans Committee met, Dick missed by one vote, twice. So anyway, next month, the Phillies are having a Dick Allen night this coming Friday, June the 9th. The Phillies are giving away a Dick Allen, Johnson Controls Dick Allen bobblehead to everybody 15 and older. There'll be a wonderful ceremony before the game. His son Richard will be there. His brothers Hank and Ron, who played Big League Baseball, will be there. Hank will be with us next Monday at Chickies and Pete's in Malvern. Richard will be with us next Monday from 6 to 7. So try to be with us out there, guys. That's going to be a big show as we talk about the great Dick Allen. Now, I wanted to ask you about Junior. We asked about highlights of Larry and you, Sarge. What of Junior's career stood out to you the most? Or was there a play or a game or a season that was your favorite?
I think catch-wise would have been when he was playing with Texas, and he went up on a wall, and he ended up turning around and actually catching the ball. And the thing for me that sticks out is that they were losing that ball game, and the one that really appreciated it, that effort, was also the pitcher. In the dugout was Biggio's son, and I remember him going up and yanking on his dad. Did you see that? And Biggio, a great player now in the major leagues, and it just shows you, too, again, the dedication and so on that the kids have. But and his all-star and getting a hit in the all-star game really stands out. Other than that, he hasn't played in the World Series or playoffs, so he has nothing really to talk about at Thanksgiving dinner other than one hit.
And you just wear your rings, right?
Oh, yeah. That's how you put them right in line there for sure. You know, you just bring out something that has to do with the playoffs or the World Series. But I do, in our family, I played longer than he does, but you know, you have over 2,000 hits. I got all the hits in the family. He's got all the money. So, I mean, that's just the way it works out in today's ball game. But he hit it just right. He's very, very generous, obviously, with all of his brothers and so on. So we have a good time in talking about that.
I think your grandson's going to have all the money.
Oh, God. God, he's almost making more than parents. Okay?
Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us. How about a big round of applause for Gary Matthews and Larry Andersen. And we'll see you next week at Chickies and Pete's in Malvern.